Hello everyone, it's Swana the Black Gallerina here, back with another Scrapbook and Chill video, which means I'll be answering some questions about my art practice and research while doing some scrapbooking. In this video, I will be answering questions about my online exhibition, Garysa White, while putting together this page which has been inspired by the large amount of Star Trek Enterprise that I've been recently consuming. Before I start the Q&A part, I just wanted to say a thank you to my Twitter followers who chose the colours for this character, and thank you to Cynthia who put together the questions for this video, and thank you to the White Cube who put me on this Sailor Moon inspired sticker set that I'm using today. For those of you who are not aware, Garysa White is an online exhibition which I launched just over a month ago on the 1st of February, which showcases stories about institutional racism within public contemporary art galleries in England. The exhibition is part of my PhD research, which looks at decolonial approaches to curation in contemporary art galleries. I will add a link to the online exhibition in the description box of this video just in case you would like to view it before or after you watch this. I will also add the link to the article I wrote for the conversation about the exhibition and my research project. Anyway, with all that said, let's get on to these questions. The first question is, what is the inspiration behind Garysa White? One of the biggest inspiration for the exhibition was the Instagram account Change the Museum, which is an account that shares anonymous testimonies about discrimination from people working in the museum sector in the USA. It is really popular and interesting, and I always wanted to see a UK version and a contemporary art gallery version, so I thought here's my chance to make this a reality. The second question is, why was Instagram chosen to host the exhibition as opposed to other platforms? After looking at all the other popular platforms such as Facebook, Twitter and TikTok, I decided on Instagram because of a few things. Firstly, the setup of Instagram is great for infographics, captions and sharing. Secondly, I thought that an image-based platform as opposed to a text or video-based platform such as Twitter or TikTok was much better to reach my target audience, which is people who interact with contemporary art galleries. It's also compatible with Squarespace, so I was able to embed the exhibition on my website for people who don't have Instagram. The third question is, how do online spaces redefine the concept of the exhibition? I think that working within online spaces complicates the idea that an exhibition needs to exist in a particular space to be valid. I like that it does this because it forces curators to be more imaginative in our world building process and look for new ways to develop an engaging experience for viewers. For me, it brings up questions like, what's the difference between a display and an exhibition? And when can something like a blog post or animated slideshow or video series be called an exhibition? The fourth question is, how have online exhibitions changed the way you view physical exhibitions? I think that online exhibitions have made me realise how much curators rely on traditional curatorial practices and white cube aesthetics to build and define contemporary art spaces. I remember seeing virtual exhibitions at the beginning of the pandemic and thinking about how quickly people fell back on replicating the white cube space on digital platforms. I found it strange that more people didn't take this opportunity to be more creative. Also, something that I've wondered with the fast development of technology and social media over the past couple of decades is that if people can view work online and zoom in close, what would make them need to experience this work in a physical space? I think that this thought motivates me more than ever when thinking about the future of curatorial projects within a physical space. The next question is, how have online exhibitions changed the way you view accessibility in exhibitions? I think because I used to manage communications in my previous role in the gallery, and because I have disabilities myself, I always had strong opinions about online exhibitions and accessibility. I don't think any of those views have changed. However, I think that the pandemic has been a big wake-up call for galleries who had not prioritized online accessibility previous to the outbreak. I believe that galleries where online access to exhibitions and events were normal practice, this transition to delivering solely online was less difficult in comparison to galleries who solely focused on activities happening in a physical space. I hope that one productive thing that galleries can learn from the last year is that by centering the access needs of disabled audiences, artists, and gallery workers, they will produce benefits for everyone. The next question is, how do you think the online exhibition affected participation? For example, the number of participants and how people share their experiences. Because it was online, I feel like it enabled people from all over England to participate. It didn't involve the labour of shipping artwork across the country or organising travel for multiple artists to attend the exhibition or anything like that. I think that the exhibition being on Instagram probably was an important factor in people's decisions to participate. Unlike a physical exhibition, which may only be viewable to people who can access that space, the work was going to be available to anyone in the world who had access to the internet. So when people submitted their testimonies, this was something they had to think about. The next question is, how do you make sure that exhibiting people's experiences was done in an ethical manner? Did the potential for a larger audience on social media affect that? As this is part of my PhD project, my method for collecting and showcasing people's experiences had to be approved by an ethics committee at my university. I was clear about what my exhibition was going to be like and what the potential risk could be for people who took part in it. I made sure that people knew that this was going to be anonymous and that they could drop out if they feel that they didn't want to participate anymore. Everyone involved had to sign a consent form which sets everything out. The final question is, what are the limitations of online exhibiting? I think one of the biggest limitations for exhibiting online, both for viewers and curators, is technical ability and access. I think that what the pandemic has shown is that there is an access and skills gap when it comes to digital life. Also, some people just don't like being online. They like the experience of being in a physical and dedicated space, so there's that. Well, that's it for this episode of Scrapbook and Chill. I hope that you found that helpful. Please remember that if you have any questions you would like me to answer in the next episode of the series, you can drop me a message in the comments of this video or send me a message on Twitter at Garysa. Also, if you enjoy videos like this, please remember to click the like and subscribe buttons and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future uploads. Thank you for watching, take care and see you soon.